Morning and welcome to The Social Show. My name is Viwe Cholwana. The Social Show is the only show in the Southern Hemisphere that looks at CSI, CSR and CSV exclusively. And we are coming to you all the way from eThekwini, at KZN, at Devon, with the Eskom Development Tour. And I'm going to find out a little bit more about what they're doing in their communities a bit later. But for now, let's go to the headlines.
Coming up on The Social Show. The RADA Inspire album launch proves just how much of a global player the NGO really is. BIC winner E-Waste Africa is slowly pioneering the light bulb recycling industry. Our Game Changer slot this month is taken up by Australian bioscientist Professor Wallach. We end off the show with Wessa telling us about the work they're doing to expose young learners to hands-on examples of sustainable living.
After selling all of his assets, RADA founder JP has made a remarkable footprint in the CSI sector, marrying action, awareness, and music.
Based on these statistics, South Africa is seen as the world's rape and drug capital. RADA's reason for existence and vision is based on implementing a holistic intervention to address these specific issues. The organization also holds the belief that music can be a source of inspiration and motivation for those who may be going through trying times. To date, the RADA Association has released 2 albums, Unearthed and Inspire, featuring up-and-coming artists as well as well-known South African musicians. The Inspire album is the latest offering and was recently launched in Johannesburg with the message, be the change, be the way, one day at a time.
Okay, so RADA is an acronym for Rape, Alcohol, Drug Abuse, to Passive Renewal. The idea was born in 2013. I was listening to a rape campaign. I switched on the music and I heard a beep every couple of minutes. And a lot of people started to phone in and I was listening to this. And I actually got quite emotional about it. Couldn't take it. I switched the radio off. I couldn't marry the trauma that those people had been through to my kids and my family. For 2 weeks I became highly emotional, tried to forget about it, didn't really work. And then one day I decided to do something about it. I had a chat with my managing director, Jackie Gilbert, sold everything of value and started RADA.
Our relationship with RADA began in 2013. I met JP, the founder, backstage of Joburg Day, and we started chatting and we hit it off. And from there, I was commissioned to do the first compilation, Volume 1, which was the pop compilation. And from there, the studio, we got commissioned again to do the Inspire album. And it was an amazing experience just working on the album with all these artists. You know, it was really special. And the track that I ended up doing for the album is a song by Bob Marley called 3 Little Birds. And I grew up listening to Bob Marley and, you know, really like absorbing his message. And 3 Little Birds was one of those songs that just resonated with me. It's one of the most inspiring tracks ever written, and it gets me up in the morning, you know. So I thought, you know, if it makes me feel that way, it's obviously the right song to perform. And I just wanted to get people up in the morning. Everything's gonna be alright, you know. There's a little bird sitting on your windowsill, chirping, singing songs. It's a good day. Every day is a good day.
We've been very blessed and privileged that a lot of top South African artists have jumped on board with the RADA Unearthed Volume 1 album, CD, and also with now the RADA Inspire CD. We've been in collaboration with The Colour Purple, where we endorsed each other, and that's a musical. If you have time to go see it, it's absolutely brilliant, world class, and it's all about empowerment. Our sponsors, we've got so many sponsors, like I said, if you actually look at the growth of RADA, to what it's achieved now with all the functions and the launches and the orphanages and the homes that we have. It's simply, we could physically couldn't do it without all the help that we get. But it all starts from the ground up with the normal individual South African that has contributed towards what we're doing today.
Yeah, you know, so part of an artist's job is to reflect the times, to tell the story. That's why, funny enough, this morning I was actually thinking of the song, which is which probably to most people doesn't really mean much, which is, the Stevie Wonder, I just called to say I love you. And I was telling a friend of mine that when I heard that, whenever I hear that song, it takes me straight back to 1987. I can see my dad, like on the bicycle in the streets of Kwanobuthe, because that's what songs are, Songs are sort of like, how do you say it again? Like it's like the music that you hear from films. Do you know what I mean? Like they remind you of a specific scene, but obviously this time it's a real scene in your life, and that's why I feel that this song that we have done as I'll just, for lack of a better word, I'll call us the RADA artists, have sort of come together to collaborate on really sort of reflect the time that we're in right now as a country and the need that is there.
I think it does reflect the times that we're in the sense that just firstly with the diversity on the album in terms of genres and artists from all kinds of different backgrounds. And I think the nice thing about this album and what I realized sort of through the process of working with all the different artists is that they all have, there's a slightly personal sort of link between RADA's campaign and their own lives, and I think it touched them in a way that they felt they wanted to jump on board. And so it's not just an ordinary like recording production project.
Basically what we mean by that is you become more aware. We understand, we're a very practical organisation. We understand life is tough, and township life is even worse. People have got many difficulties to go through. What we're saying is open up your awareness. Don't live life with blinkers on. Have more, be more aware of your surroundings. So we now marrying the awareness with action. And said now you're now aware of your surroundings. Be more mindful of others. Have more respect for yourself. Have more respect for others.
Meet Pravesh Naidu, a recent BIC winner and the owner of e-Waste South Africa. He is saving the planet one bulb at a time.
The business investment competition is Eskom's initiative aimed at recognizing and rewarding small businesses that are contributing to skills development, job creation, and economic growth. The competition is open to enterprises operating in the manufacturing, engineering and construction, trade and services, agricultural and agri-processing sectors across all provinces. e-Waste Africa is one of the companies who have benefited from this initiative. We joined them in Durban to find out more.
I am very much a budding young entrepreneur from a South African perspective. e-Waste Africa started conceptually 5 years ago. Spent over a year just drafting the business plan while I was working in corporate at the time. We have a vision, which is a total environmentally ethical, legally compliant light bulb recycling solution. And yes, we actually recycle light bulbs. Just a bit about the recycling process. So we do extract via numerous collection methods. Once we get to the recycling plant, the bulbs get to the recycling plant. The bulbs go into a specialized technology where we extract the glass, the plastics, the metals, and the luminophosphorus powder. We have a secondary plant set up as a pilot plant at UKZN in Durban, where we then extract the luminophosphorus powder into its byproducts further. To date, we have recycled over 3.5 million light bulbs, which is close to 1,000 tons worth of waste that has been saved from going to landfill sites. We've created 21 jobs to date. We have a vision to actually go to 100 million light bulbs, create another 980 or 979 jobs, and we also are looking to go into the full electronic waste spectrum. As of August 2016, there has been a complete ban of all light bulbs to landfill sites due to its hazardous nature. We are e-Waste Africa, and we are the solution to be able to provide that environmentally ethical and legally compliant light bulb recycling solution. We've been lucky enough to have had quite a few good days. So we've won the Nedbank PCB Spirit of Entrepreneurship over 2 years ago. We were recent winners of the Young Entrepreneur, South African Young Entrepreneur of the Year. funded and hosted via DTI and hosted by Rob Davies, or the Honorable Rob Davies. We've also won the Gap Green first place in the Gap Green competition, which was funded through the Innovation Hub. And most excitedly, as of recent, which is why we're here today, we were the winners of the ESCOM BIC Trade and Services sector. These awards tend to give you that credibility, which we believe we require in the industry, because it is hard to sell a new innovative idea and people don't necessarily buy into it. And at the same time, it's given me the motivation to want to do more, want to create more, and which is why as young engineers we also are trying to create new innovative technologies to benefit both corporates, individuals and parastatals.
Coming up after the break, our Game Changer slot with Australian bioscientist Professor Wallach. And we end off the show with Wesa telling us about the work they're doing to expose young learners to hands-on examples of sustainable living.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah! Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
The NEPAD Southern Africa Network for Biosciences provides a shared research, development and innovation platform for collaborative research in health and nutrition. Each year, NEPAD SanBio, with the support of BioFissa 2 program, hosts a networking event for regional and international stakeholders to discuss the pertinent issues in the region. It is at this event where we identified our game changer for this month, Professor Wallach, and he speaks about entrepreneurship in biosciences.
In looking at the countries that have been successful in entrepreneurship, in how they've succeeded, one of the countries that stands out is Israel. I'm also happen to be a citizen of Israel as well as Australia and the US. And one of the things in the culture that's developed there is that willingness to fail, that acceptance that through failure we learn lessons. And those lessons are crucial to be able to eventually succeed. One, in this business, which is high risk and low probability of success, if you don't fail and you don't go through a series of steps and experiences that enable you to deal with problems as they arise, your likelihood of success is extremely low. So in Israel, that's led to a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship to become what's known as a startup nation. I understood from those who spoke to me in South Africa that there is a real fear of failure issue here, and that once you do fail, it's very difficult to get funded again. This culture is really counterproductive to becoming one of the leading countries in entrepreneurship. I think that this culture of willing to fail and willing to take on the risks involved in this business, it's very difficult to get government or universities to really solve the problem. It's come, and I think it best comes from the people themselves, from the culture, from the grassroots level. What the government can do is provide support and encourage those that do fail and do go into this business to keep going. It could be in the form special types of funding arrangements for people who are trying the second time, that the government can help them start another company. Corporates can look at people and understand that if you fail, it doesn't mean that you're a failure. And to basically open up communication lines so that the culture begins to change. It will take time and it's not easy, but it's a recognition that we're seeing globally, and we are facilitating all people from around the world to change their culture. Again, taking the Israel example and trying to put it in the African perspective, it happened in Israel largely because it's a country that's lived under extreme stress and constant threat of war. And young boys at 18 who go to the army are often facing situations that are very difficult. They have to make quick decisions in a rapidly changing environment, and they have to take responsibility at a young age for those decisions. I think and that model of growth of innovation in Israel, I think just basically happened almost spontaneously, and just grew and spread till today, where it's just very, very widely accepted. In Africa as well, and I said this to the students I met with today, you face many problems and many dangers and many uncertainties. And I would say that this is the opportune time to say to oneself, we must take the responsibility on ourselves as young people in particular, and pick ourselves up and start creating these businesses and start creating startups. Not to say that things haven't already happened in countries like South Africa and Kenya, from what I understand, but to really feel unleashed by what I see as the start of a period of great growth and hopefully in this region. Definitely the universities have a role to play in educating particularly our young people, but through the program I'm involved with Stanford called Spark, we do educate both young and older academics. So we're already starting to play that role in education and making people much more savvy about what it means to develop a new product. As was mentioned at the conference, and I went through it myself, business plans have limited use because the world is changing so rapidly. And products that you developing, particularly in the area of life sciences, often develop over a period of a very long time, often 10 to 15 years. So it's very difficult to make a business plan for a product that may come out so much later than the time you actually develop the product. So in the end, I think the universities have to engage with this process while maintaining a good level of academic freedom to explore things just for the sake of basic knowledge. I think all age groups need to be educated in being more innovative and entrepreneurial. The world is changing, and the new economy is largely dependent on innovation. The Australian government also has announced the need to become a much more innovative culture. We're coming off the mining boom, and there's a feeling that our survival in Australia and in this region of the world depends on that. I think the education we give at different phases in life probably need to be adjusted to where that individual is in their sort of life path, and not try to educate people with the wrong information at the wrong time. A lot of this also comes around through experience, and as I said at the beginning, through failing, where again the word failing is actually a better word to use would be lessons learned. And you can teach someone what may happen, but once they experience it, it's has a very different impact. So in the end, I would say, as we're already doing, education has to be given in the right amount at the right time in the right way to promote the pathway that we want our young people to develop in. And I still consider people in their 30s young, that they all develop to their greatest potential for the benefit of the region they're living in.
We took a deeper dive into international powerhouse WESA to find out exactly how they plan to save the environment.
WESA implements effective environmental ecotourism education and youth development programs throughout South Africa. They also activate a wide range of local initiatives for the environment through their membership network. The organization also works to improve the school curriculum through its Education for Sustainable Development and provides critical work skills training which creates job opportunities and sustainable livelihoods in local communities. Now, if you didn't know about them, here's your chance to find out.
So WESA is a 92-year-old environmental organization which basically started off focusing on wildlife conservation, but over the last couple of decades we've really forged a way to look at the needs of the South African people and how we with our programs can support the economic, social, environmental and cultural needs of the South African people. And so today we are an organization that basically implements effective and relevant education, environment, social, ecological, ecotourism, skills development, capacity building and youth programs throughout South Africa. So the last couple of years the research has been done that the South African forest has been depleted there's a lot of damage that has come to the forest, the indigenous forest of South Africa. And depending who you speak to, people will say that less than 1% of the South African forest is left. And so that obviously was a huge contributor to starting the LEAF program within South Africa. But it's not just about planting trees that the LEAF program is focusing on. We're focusing on a holistic approach to education about why trees are so important. So it's looking at the social aspects, it's looking at the economic aspects, the cultural aspects, and of course the ecological aspect of trees and forests in South Africa. A variety of South African biodiversity depend heavily on trees and forests for their survival, and so do we as human beings. When I grew up, we used to plant trees, but I never could understand the importance of planting those trees. And today, I look at it as a holistic approach to a sustainable South Africa. Looking at the economic side of trees, it contributes hugely to the South African economy. Timber, this bench that I'm sitting on now, that's where the gap came from. And also bringing nature back to schools. So when I grew up, I used to go outside and play, and I was lucky that there was some trees in my school, but the school next to my school didn't have trees. And so it's a teaching tool to assist teachers to basically take what they teach inside of the classroom and take it outside of the classroom. So creating biodiversity gardens that will actually be used as a teaching tool within schools, and not just within schools, but within the community as well. So we've just launched the LEAF program in South Africa on the 6th of Feb, a week ago, and we started in Gauteng because this is where I'm based. And so this program will be a national program. We will roll it out to schools all over the country. But for me it's important to basically, figure out how South Africans and South African schools will benefit from this program. Partnerships that we're looking at are essentially corporate funders to come on board and help us, take the program to schools throughout the country, but particularly focusing on under-resourced schools where there's, school grounds without trees, barren school grounds, communities that don't have public open spaces that they can utilize. And we're also looking at, the likes of Sandby with all the other botanical gardens throughout the country to be a part of this program and invite schools around their garden to be a part of the program.
Well, this marks the end of the second episode of The Social Show, but it also marks the end of the Eskom Development Foundation tour. We are in Richards Bay, about to head off. But if you want to know a little bit more about what we do, please don't be afraid to go to www.social-tv.co.za. I'm Vue Cholwana for Social TV, signing out. Stories like these, go to www.social-tv.co.za. Subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on our social mediums.